My name's Vincent and I'm an addict. First, I walked into this room. I swear, right? So I try not to swear. I swear. Quite a lot. I'm going to try not to. But I walked in the room, I went, fucking hell, this is tiny in here. But there's going to be about 4 people coming. And then now it's like this, it's a bit fucking uncomfortable. I fucking hate people. I hate people. I hate people. I get an allergic reaction to people, and it just sets me off, and I just start swearing. But this, so I've turned up. I've drove a long way. I live in North Somerset, a little town called Weston-super-Mare. I haven't drove all the way today, but I have drove that distance in a day. But I come from Hackney, so I went and stayed with my family in Hackney, and stayed here for the weekend and came over because I've known Ian since he was about 16, 17, something like that, when he was just a skinny smackhead. I've known him a long time. I've known him a really long time. And so I'll do it for anyone anyway, but especially people I've known for a while, I'll put myself out a bit more. Okay, so I got clean in NA on the 29th of December 2006. I got 12 steps into recovery by a friend. He's a couple of years cleaner than me, and after 27 years of using drugs, I went to Weston-super-Mare where I carried on using the train journey up there. I got to my friend's house. I carried on using for a couple of days, and then he got the drugs off me, which I'll give them to him. He flushed them down the toilet, and that's where my journey started. And so he started taking me to meetings. And I'll say I'm really, really fortunate that I was with someone who I grew up with and I was really close with and I used with. It was like, tell me what to do. I didn't say that, but it was going, we're going to a meeting tonight, all right, we're going to a meeting, all right, we're going to a meeting in the morning, all right, we're going to a meeting. I was living in his house with his girlfriend, his stepdaughter, and his girlfriend was pregnant at the time, and he had 2 big American bulldogs and this drug addict in his front room, and I just started doing what he told me to do. And so I lived with him for 15 days, but in the meetings I heard all these things. Get a sponsor, come to meetings, do some service, and once you start to get some understanding of the steps, start practicing the steps. And I started listening to people, and I'm one of them, I've always done it. I've sat in meetings. I was a bit deranged. Imagine after 27 years, I'm a bit deranged still today, right? But when I first stopped, it was like I started glue sniffing when I was 10 years old. And the hallucination went on for 27 years. And I come out of active addiction like I'd been in a car crash. Like the car slammed on its brakes, I shot through the window into reality, and I come into a meeting with all these people, what looked half normal, right? Well, you did, you looked all normal compared to the way I felt. And it was just a really strange environment, and I started listening. And I took drugs when I was a little boy. I was a really curious little kid. I used to see older kids doing, what's that like? And I started using drugs for them reasons. I was really curious. And I sat in meetings, especially that step 12, I used to think, after having a spiritual, I thought, what the fuck's that like? I was going to get some sort of like heavy shit out of this gear. And so that's why I thought myself, I started sitting and going, oh, man, I've got to give this a try. Like anything else I've ever done, I've got to give this a try. And it was exactly the same experience, I've got to give this a try. And it's about sponsorship. So I remember this is one of the things I had to do. And I didn't know about all these things, what I suffer with now. It's just like, that's what you've got to do. You've got to go up and ask someone. And I sat around for a minute. It wasn't like that what I hear now. It's like, listen to people, see someone you're attracted to, or what you like what they share and all that. Don't just get a sponsor. And so I asked one person, they said, take my number, but I'm too busy. I work, I've got sponsors, but take my number if I can ever. I walked away cunting the life out of him. I'm like, do you know how fucking hard? Oh, you're recording me as well, ain't you? But you know how hard that was for me? Walked away from the person, and then I went a few days afterwards, I went and asked another person, and that person said exactly the same thing as the first person did, And I walked away and I fucking hell. But now with hindsight, honesty, open-minded and willingness, the willingness was there, okay, because I didn't just, like that took a lot of fucking courage for me to go and ask the first one. So I could see the willingness was there. In my first week of being clean, I got a service post in a meeting. And I could see with hindsight now, I had the willingness to start listening to people. Okay, they're telling me to do this, I'm going to go and do that. And sometimes I used to catch myself, like, it's the first time in my life I started listening to people. And as soon as I say that, it ain't the first time when you start listening to people, Vince. When you learn how to wash up cocaine, you fucking listen to people, right? When you learn how to inject heroin, right, you listen to people. When you learn how to do a 5-skin, you listen to people. And so I do listen to people. As long as I'm getting something from it, I listen to people. But it's a strange thing that you come in here and people hear us, but you don't really hear us. You know what I mean? Sometimes it might take a few more experiences to come in here and actually do and listen to people and say, fuck me, I'm going to do what they tell me to do. And that's what, with hindsight again, I could look back. In our step 3, it says we hand our will and life over to the care of God. Well, with hindsight now, I could see I handed my life over to the care of my friend. Tell me what to do, right, and I'll do it. We didn't say that, but that's what I did. And so that's one of the things what stays with me now. I say to people, like, let someone else do your thinking for you. Like, if you're a bit confused, ask someone and do what they tell you to do. If you trust that person, just follow that. Don't listen to yourself, right? Because once you start to really understand what you suffer with, it's better off listening to someone else, because if they're not going through something at that time, they're more likely to be a bit more saner than you are. And there's some of the things I've learned. So the third person I asked, he said, I've heard a little bit about you. He said, it'd be an honour to sponsor you. And then I got this sponsor and he started speaking to me. He goes, Vince, he goes, there is a league of addiction, right? And he said, you're top of the league, Real Madrid style addict. I went, what? I went, that ain't fucking good. He went, they're the top. And he said, that's your category of addiction. He said, you're more damaged than some soldiers at the First World War. And I took that as a badge of honour as well. Okay, I've arrived. But it's really strange, as I'm speaking, things come into my head. Like, even though I got clean and I got really confused in meetings, this is why I say it, in a group of fucked up people, you're top of the class, Vince. Like, I have arrived in something what I fucking was killing myself. I've arrived in a group of fucked up people. You're top here, you won the race. And so I felt quite confident and like, yeah, really, really walked. Like, I was saying to myself, you harmed yourself so much, because that's what I did. When I come out of active addiction, I wanted to let you know I was a hardcore drug addict. But what I did, when I had reflection, is I'm just telling you, I've harmed myself really, really a lot. And so it started to turn. I'm not a hardcore drug addict. I'm a fucking serious self-harmer. And that's when it started to register me. I really, really hurt myself when I used drugs. And I started going through this step work with my first sponsor, and I used to sit there and think, what's this about? What's all this about? I'd walk away from him, walk away from his house, what's all this fucking about? And it's only with hindsight now, the stuff, what they told me to do in the beginning, to do that stuff, I've learned what this stuff is about. Me sitting down with a sponsor, I was helping him get out of himself. He was sharing his experience with me, but he was getting a lot more, I believe, because that's the way I look at it now. He was getting a lot more out of giving it away, if that makes any sense. Because when you start to give it away, you've got something now and you give it away. It's a much more of a feeling I get, that I feel a lot more worthy. I feel like I've got a position, I've got something in life to, it's strange that we can help people sharing our pain, and we can help people from the shit lives we come from. By sharing that, we can help other people. And so when I help others, I get a feeling of, a really good feeling of self-worth, because I think I'm just a fucking worthless fucking drug addict. I don't even think that way. The way I react in life is like, I can still feel I'm fucking worthless. And I'm still really damaged. So after a little while, I used to sit there and think, what's all that about? And then we got to a step 4, and this was coming because I've heard people coming here. I've done a totally honest step 4. I didn't speak when these people saying I'm doing a totally honest thing. I never. And when my friend done a step 4, he said, "Is that everything you've got?" I went, "Yep, that's everything." He goes, "You ain't holding back nothing?" I went, "No, not holding back nothing. This is what I was telling you." And what I did tell him was really, really, for a shut down person, was really, really good. And you don't hear it a lot of times in our basic text. It says, up to our level now, be as honest as you can, up to a certain level where you're at. A lot of people said, I come in, I was totally honest. My second sponsor, when I've done a step 4 with him, he said, "Was it everything?" I went, "Nah." He goes, "What? So don't you want to tell?" I said, "No, I don't need to tell you. I've got other people around me what I've shared things with, but that's not everything what I've gone through and what I've done clean." Because he felt a bit hurt, he did, because he didn't get all the information off me. "What? But you're not telling me?" I went, "You're fucking busy, you are, aren't you?" And so me and my sponsor were quite close. We had that relationship where we have a laugh and a joke. Okay, but I started coming in here, and that's what I've done. I've done what other people said, and it was about sponsorship. And then I went through the work, and then I started living life without the use of drugs. And then that's what I come in here to start sharing. I don't just share it with sponsors. I come in and try and be as open and honest as I can. What it's like for me living life without the use of drugs. And me living life without the use of drugs, I've been more scared. I felt more insane. I felt everything a million times more than I did when I used drugs. I see I medicated myself using drugs. It got me out of my nut. And that was the expression we use. I got out of my nut. Now I have a different understanding to I've got me out of my nut. I've got me out of myself. And that's what I mean. When I get out of self, it's one of the things, like step 2, but it's a power greater than myself. Service is a power greater than myself. So when I've been asked to do shares and things like that, it's a power greater than myself, because what I do, I come in to try and be beneficial to other people, and what it does for me is gets me out of self. And I've had shit going on in my life, and when I've done this stuff, because my first sponsor said to me, anytime you ever get asked to do service, if you can, go and do it. And that's what I'm saying, I didn't know at the time what it was about. And now I went through that work, I've got an understanding what I suffer with, right? And I've got an understanding what I have to do about it. Because I don't go through the steps now, and now I'm cured. I come in here and share a perfect message. I come in here and I practice this stuff. Because there's something wrong with me without the use of drugs. I've got a mind that absolutely terrorises me without the use of drugs. And when you have stuff going on in your life, it says in our literature, we make mountains out of molehills. Well, if you've got a mountain going on in your life, I'm telling you something, I hope you have got a power greater than yourself, that you can help get through it. Because the way I look at these things now, it's all with hindsight. I never knew this when I first come in. Like, I never knew what getting a sponsor was about at first. Like, why do I have to share this stuff with him? Like, I know what I've done. I know all this. Why do I have to share it with another person? The stuff I didn't know is the stuff I suffered with. My defects, I didn't know. I didn't go to school and they taught me about defects. How self-centred I am. How insecure I am. How mistrusting I am. How everything evolves around me. I didn't know that stuff. It needs to be pointed out to me, and I could not deny it once I see it. I'm so fucking ungrateful, it's unbelievable. That's my natural state. And so I started doing all this stuff, and then I started to learn a little bit about myself. And part of my addiction is obsession. Okay, take the drugs away, I can still suffer with obsession. There's good for obsessions, like when I used to be a little kid. Wait, Christmas night, I couldn't go to sleep. I was just obsessed about fucking Christmas morning. And that's the first, fuck me, that's obsession, that is. It overrided every other thought before Christmas as a little boy. And that's what it does to me now. If I've got something going on, it's like, you're not fucking sleeping tonight. We're going to have a little chat. I think, oh, for fuck's sake, drop me out, please. I only want to go to sleep. No. and we do. But that's why I need a power greater than myself, because what it started to happen, I didn't have these things. The honesty, I had a little bit of honesty, I had a lot of open-mindedness, and I had a lot of willingness. The longer I've stayed clean, I practiced that thing, because then I've done another step forward, and that courage it grew. It's like a muscle what I need to practice and build up. And so stuff I could not share with other people, and I shared with one person. Now that stuff I could come in a meeting and openly share about what I put in my first step forward. So the longer I've stayed clean, I try to practice that honesty, because if I'm not honest, I don't believe how I can help another an addict. And so that I'll come into recovery and say, hey, I'm in Narcotics Anonymous and fucking my life's great and I'm fucking this and it. And it's just fucking not. I mean, my life is absolutely amazing. I've been married 16 years. Oh, I've been married 9 years. I've been with my partner 16 years. We've got 2 daughters. We've got fucking everything. But you know, all that outside stuff doesn't fix what goes on with me mentally, emotionally. You could have the best job in the world. My addiction don't give 2 fucks about what job you've got. I mean, it don't give a fuck what I've got. People say to me, oh, you've got everything. I say to them, yeah, but I'm in it. That's the problem. And so I started to have to do things. And then after a little while, I got a bit more courage and started telling other people. And it was like, my youngest daughter was diagnosed with a heart murmur. And when my wife came in, I turned around, my wife was in bits. And I went, what's wrong? She went, Gracie's got a heart murmur. So I went from being okay to looking at my daughter thinking, you're going to take your last breath now, you're going to die in front of me. I suffer with obsessional fear. That's what I go to instantly about anything and everything. It's always fear. And it was like, to me, the way I can explain it, when I first got clean, I never experienced none of these thoughts or feelings. The only thought and feeling I had is fucking running out, and where am I going to get it from? I was consumed by the use of drugs. It helped me live, and it took a lot away from me, but it consumed my thinking. And take that away from me, now I've got obsessional thinking, and it goes and grabs onto fucking everything and anything, what it can make me uncomfortable. And that's what my thinking does to me. And that's why I have to do this stuff, right? Because it helps me to get out myself. So when I sponsor people, like when I've done service like this, I've done things where I thought my daughter was going to die. And my first sponsor said, any opportunity you've got to go and do service, go and do it. And I hear a lot of people say, oh, I've got so much going on, you best stay at home. My thinking goes straight away, stay at home, Vince. You'll be all right here. You'll be safe. You'll be all right in your own house. You're comfortable. That's the fucking worst place for me to be. Because who I'm at home with is me and my thinking. And it absolutely terrorises me. And so when I get out, the opportunity I have to learn to live with myself, because I can't run away from it. I have to stay at home sometimes. At night time, there's nothing going on. I have to learn to live with myself. But is there an opportunity I'll get asked to go and do service, I'll go and do it. When stuff is good and when stuff is bad. But when stuff is bad, okay, I've had the experience where I started, my higher power got bigger. At first it was just all about prayer and God, but my experience showed me there's a lot more than just that. So when I get to the service, I'll get out of myself by trying to help other people. When I've sponsored people, I remember I was sitting with my sponsee once, right, and I was with him for about 2-3 hours. And when I walked out the door, I shut the street door. I went, fucking hell, if that didn't help him, it helped me. Because I got out of myself. I got out of my nut. It's the worst place to be, because 10 years clean and recovery, it was like I was having a mental health breakdown. I went to see the specialist and they sent me off some 6 weeks worth of counselling. Then they sent me off for 12 weeks in depth counselling. Then they sent me off to the mental health team and said, yeah, you're a complicated character. I went, fuck me, you must be Sherlock Holmes. I've always known I'm a complicated character, but all the stuff they was trying to help me, got you. This has helped me more than any professional has ever helped me. And so I'll carry on doing that stuff to help me get out of myself. Okay, so that's why when them things, it was all about not using drugs. But them 4 things what you hear in meetings, they're the things what help me live life without the use of drugs. They help me get out of myself. So when people ask me to sponsor them, okay, I have to weigh up. I'm married, I work, I've got time, I haven't got time. And so sometimes I have to really weigh up. Sometimes I've got friends who sponsor like 20, 30 people. I won't sponsor no more than like 2 or 3 people. And if I go through work with them and I get another free time, if someone asks me, I'll say, okay, we'll give it a try. But this is the thing. Sometimes you're not a good sponsor. You're a H&I person. And we all have our little things, what we get into recovery. I've done H&I since I've been clean. I made tea in a H&I meeting, and I've done H&I. I'll be 18 years clean this December, and I've done H&I the length of time I've been clean. I absolutely love doing that. When people ask me to sponsor, the doubt kicks in. But when I sponsor people, I've sponsored people, and I share my story with sponsees. And I can remember one day I was talking about, we was doing step 4, me and the sponsee, and I talked about my childhood and my mum, and how I was affected by my mum. It was only my self-centeredness and my ungratefulness what I was so affected by. And I shared this story with a sponsee, and he said, fucking hell. He said, no one has ever told me that in the way you told me. I've had counselling around this issue for years, and no one ever said what you said to me. And what it was, that thing, one addict helping another addict, is unparalleled. And that stuff, it's that stuff there going, fucking hell. And people, I've done it, I've sponsored people, and I've come away and gone, you're not a worthless piece of shit, Vince. You just was fucking sitting there with someone, trying to help someone, right? And afterwards they've said thanks, and I've got a feeling out of it, like it's fucking so powerful. It's unbelievable. Like that spiritual stuff, where mental, mental, fucking, it's gone out. Physical, spiritual. And the spiritual part is our self-centeredness. It's all them defects. It's all about us. When we do stuff to get out of ourselves and help other people, the feeling when I've walked away from it, like I've only got a couple. This ain't about sponsorship, but it's about doing service. Exactly the same about sponsorship. Where I've done H&I, I was at the UK convention once, and I walked in a big. If you've ever been to UK convention at the Hilton, big turnstile door at the front. This fellow come walking out. He said, "You're Vince, aren't you?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "You come to my treatment centre, and you was the one who got through to me. Okay, you was the one who carried that message to me." And I went, didn't register, and I went, "Fucking hell! What a powerful tool you are to another addict." Because this guy got to 10 years clean. Like he died when he was 10 years clean. But I used to sit into a meeting with him, right? And if he was sitting in a meeting I was sitting in, and I heard him share, I would just well up. And if I was in a meeting and I shared, he'd be sitting in the corner over there welling up. And that boy had paid me. He come up to me and said, "Thank you so much for fucking carrying that message to me." And it was like a payment. I've never forgot that. I mean, I'll be 18 years clean this December. And I don't look like, I said, like I was a thingy. I come out of active addiction. I've had my back cut open. They've cut away half of my lung. That didn't stop me from using, okay? I've had my right leg amputated, okay? I'm an above knee amputee. That didn't stop me from using. My addiction is much more powerful than any fucking consequence going. My mind will come up with another justification, another rationalisation. Go, "Yeah, Vince, that's a fucking good idea, that is." I'll say, "Yeah." And so that's why I needed to learn what I suffered with, what I really suffered with. I knew what a drug addict was. I didn't know what an addict was. I get a sponsor, I go through our literature, and I find out what I suffered with. I stay clean, and then I really find out what I suffered with. And I realise that saying what you hear in meetings, just stop using and you'll realise why you fucking used. I mean, this world is overwhelming for me. Things what I go through in life are overwhelming for me. And in our literature says we find we can no longer live with the use of drugs, and the second part of that it says we find we can no longer live without the use of drugs. I medicated myself using drugs. Now I ain't medicating myself with a drug. I'm just left with me and a problem what's in my mind, and I need to do something to help me live life without the use of drugs. And that's why I keep turning up. I keep turning up because this stuff I haven't used in that length of time. And not only that, the times I've wanted to kill myself clean, I haven't killed myself because I know people in recovery who have committed suicide clean. I know people in recovery who have tried to commit suicide and they failed. I mean, and I know that's what I suffer with. I suffer with, we call it addiction. It can be like a mental health fucking breakdown. I mean, and this is my medication for it. And all them things what I said in the beginning are the parts of what I do now, and I carry on doing. No matter what I think about recovery or about people in recovery, I just keep turning up and trying to be there for other people. And me being there for other people, I'll get reward for it, because I don't get a reward. I don't go out, I'm going to do this, okay, because I'm going to feel good. I go out and I do this, and occasionally I'll get some reward from it. The feeling I get from it is fucking amazing. And that's what I say to anyone: get involved with it, get a sponsor, and right, go through the work, start giving that away, and you might get that reward what I get. I'll finish on this, right? There's a story, it's from AA, okay? The founder of AA, when he first ever started AA up, he said to his wife, he said, no one's staying sober. No one's staying sober. She said to him, yes there is. He went, no one's staying sober. She went, yes there is. You are. And that's the stuff. Give this away and you will reap the benefit of one thing, of fucking staying clean. And then you might get the other benefit of you fucking find you can live now without the use of drugs. Because just putting down the drugs is the first part. Dealing with ourselves without the use of drugs is the second part. And that's what I try and reinforce that. That's why I come in here, and I don't come in here and say it's all happy clappy. I come in and tell you I've got a life-threatening fucking illness that will fucking kill me without the use of drugs. And that's why I keep turning up. And I'll leave there, thank you.
Thank you.